Okay, so this is an example of the video, and we saw this yesterday. I showed this a little bit yesterday. But this is the video that they watched, and it's only about 45 seconds, and it's talking about the ice school. Now, this is some of the vocabulary that they used in the video, and we did a closed test inside of Moodle. And by closed test, we mean this is a closed written test. So as they're listening, they're watching the video on one part of the screen. They've got the quiz open on the other side of the screen. And as they're listening, and they can play the video many times, they can type the words. Okay? Now, we say formative assessment because this is not part of the grade. This is only feedback from the computer saying, okay, this is out of 22 words that we want you to get in this. If you get 20 out of 22 or 22 out of 22, it doesn't matter. This is not towards your final grade, but this is only to help you get the language that you're going to need anyways when you're creating your own article. Okay? So by formative assessment, we mean by feedback, but this is a graded feedback, but it doesn't count. That's what we mean by formative assessment. Okay? And so this is going to help them with the listening to the video to get them started with their article, and it's going to help them with the vocabulary that they need to be able to use to write in their article. And not all the vocabulary they're going to use, but it's a start. Okay. And then what they start to do is they start to share their information in their groups. So we've made groups inside of Moodle and say, okay, you guys, you're four, you guys work together. So if you have some words that you've discovered beyond the ones that were in the quiz, or some concepts or key phrases that you think are important, or a website that you found, or anything that you found that will help you write your article beyond the video, upload it to the forum, and then in your groups, you can see each other's. And we've got the forum set so that it's instantaneous. So as soon as they upload something to the forum, everybody can see it. So when someone uploads information, the next person can see that. They can also reply and say, well, I found this web page. What do you think? And then the other person can reply and say, well, I found this information. What do you think? And then they can start to share. Okay, so this is the one side now where they're actually using their interlanguage and working on their interlanguage and writing the article.
Just one quick question. Are the groups random?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is one of the sample articles that one of the girls made. So she went on the internet, she found some more pictures, she found some graphs, some of the things that if you've seen Al Gore's book with the I-score data, so she found some information on that. She wrote her opinion, there's colors, there's, she's got a nice layout, so this is the kind of thing that they produced. And this is one article that didn't get a good grade when he submitted it or she submitted it. But this is another sample article on the same thing. So we got this, on one side we got this article, the other side we got this article. Okay. So this is the workshop activity, and there's 5 stages. So I'm going to go through each stage just briefly, and at the end I'm going to go through them in more detail. But basically there's the setup phase, which we set up the introduction, welcome to the workshop, let's do a nice whatever. We provide instructions for submission, for example, 1 A4 size page, maximum 5 megabytes, please by this date, sort of idea. And then we edit the assessment form, which we'll go into later. This is where you go in and you put in the grading criteria, for example, content, color, whatever you're going to do with the activity in terms of the assessment criteria. The submission phase is where students upload. That's all it is. It's just upload. And then there's also the teacher can assign the uploaded articles to people to assess. So there's two parts of this. Then there's the assessment phase where students look at the articles that they've been given. They click on one, it opens up. They look at the assessment criteria and they choose which assessment criteria matches the picture. And then that's it. Grading evaluation phase is where the teacher comes in now and says, well, how good was their evaluation on their students or peers? So they're being assessed on how well they can assess. So if it's their friend, and they say, well, I'm going to give you a big mark, then they're going to lose. Because we want to make it fair. And then the close just means that the students now can see the grades in the grade book, they can see the grade that they got from their peers, and that's it. So close is really just, we're finished. And as a teacher, or a course manager, or an administrator, you can go back and forth to any stage you want to reset things or do what you want. And I'll show you that. Okay. So in the setup phase, we set up the assessment criteria, and all we did was the students may assess the work of others. And there's students may assess their own work. We didn't check that. And example submissions are provided for practice and assessing. We've done that for when we made some other courses where we wanted the students to practice assessing and getting the feel of how to assess something. But in this case, we didn't do it. And here the students submit their work and the teacher allocates the work. Here the students assessed. Now in this case here, number of reviews, for example, the teacher would say, okay, I want each student to assess 5 students, or I want each article to be assessed by 9 people or 10 people. So there's either or. You can choose how much work you want to give to a student, or how much focus you want to put on one article. Basically, is the choice that you have to make. And then the assignments are graded from the point of view of how well did they assess. And then the last is closed. Okay, so this is the initial rubric template that we gave them. Okay, so now we're going to the template assessment criteria side, which is what we're creating as a rubric. And rubric basically means you've got a grid of criteria, which means content, language, colors, pictures, layout. There's all kinds of different things that the students can think of. The elements for each one, for example, language. Is there key phrases, or how is it how is the grammar? How is the sentence structure? Or is it readable? Is it logical? Does it make sense? Is the English okay? Then you've got the grade, and then the reason for the grade. So this is the template that we give. No, the students have never done a rubric before. This is the first time. We didn't prompt them at any time. We just said, okay, guys, think about things that you want to be marked on in your article, or you think that are important to be marked on your article, and it's all up to you now to create this rubric. Now, this is what the students came up with. Okay, so they had no experience. They got into groups, and they said, okay, well, we think text is important. We think construction is important, contents, design, and information. Okay, so this is what they thought was important. And then, for example, text, the size, color, style, place, and category. Construction with title, contents, example, question, headline, conclusion. So these are the elements, and this was left blank. Okay, they didn't do anything with this.
Are the students required to fill in each of the 5 elements?
No, they
do
weren't.
3.
They could do 3, and they were, yeah. You didn't have to do 5. And if they wanted to do 6, then we told them that as much as you want to do, or as little as you think needs to be done, it's all up to you. Okay. And then what we decided, because there was no grades here, we decided that it would be assessed on a scale of 0, 1, 2, and 3. So 4 choices. So the students don't see the numbers per se. They see the criteria or the category of the element, but they don't see the numbers. So when they're assessing somebody, it's more based on the qualitative aspects of the article and the assessment criteria. They're not assigning a grade. Okay, so in this case here, this is what it looks like inside of Moodle. So once we set up the rubrics inside of Moodle, then in this case here, the students do see the 0, 1, 2, and 3, but they see graph, picture, diagram, keyword, opinion, and suggestion, and they just choose a scale. So this is what they see on one side of the page while they're looking at the article on the other side of the page. Okay. Now, inside of the workshop activity, you can set the default for how much they get for their submission and how much is allocated for their assessment. So in this case, the default is 80-20. So they get, out of their 100%, 80% of their mark is for their own submission, and 20% goes towards how well they assessed their peers. Okay? So that's you can set it 50-50. If you want to focus on assessment, you can set it 20-80. But we chose the 80-20. We wanted them to focus on their article more and the assessment less. This is just a practice and assessment. So basically, the results are, this is the mark out of 80 that they got, and here, the assessment, this is the mark out of 20 that they received for their assessment. Now, there was a few things that, when we were setting up this experiment, there was a few things that we thought about. We thought, okay, well, in this case here, there aren't many choices, 0, 1, 2, or 3. So we thought there would be a larger spread in this case. And then after that we've done the experiment twice, there would be a less spread in the second case, only because they were had more choices, or there was, we didn't know what to expect. We didn't expect that there would be they would get such a good mark for assessment. But I think it's because we have no idea.
In the beginning, we weren't sure exactly how well they were going to assess, but the results show that everyone gave the same mark for the same article. So every student received a 20 mark for their assessment of their peers.
I mean, the marks range from 40 to 80. So there's a large range of marks, but people who thought, well, this article is terrible, they all thought the same. And people who thought this article is pretty good, they all thought the same. So when you're being assessed for your assessment, it's all based on the average of the people who are assessing the same article. So this person gives a 60 out of 80, another person gives a 59 out of 80, and another person gives 61 out of 80, then those people will get a good mark for their assessment because it's all based around a certain grade that everybody's giving that person. But then if someone else gives a 40 out of 80, this person's way out of line. So they'll get a less of a grade for their assessment. So it's all based around what other students are thinking in terms of that article.
Are you going to explain that, how you do that in more detail later?
So this is, keep in mind, this is Article 1 and Rubric 1. So basically, you can see that there's not much that the students have to choose from. I mean, this is the first time they've done it. They're looking at the article, they're looking at the rubric, and they just say, well, information, well, I'll give it a 2. So there's not much for the students to go on in this case. So, what do they learn from that?